Oh, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, it feels really good to be here with you all. We had a little singing here earlier, a little singing in the living room. But somehow that brings to mind the song, Every woman, every man, join the caravan of love. Stand up, stand up, stand up. So we're all joining the caravan here tonight. And it just reminds me of this line I've been reading, and every now and then I get a line from the course, and I just read like that one line. I just read it, and I read it, and I read it maybe 20 times. Sometimes I just read a line over and over and over again. So maybe as we begin here, I'll share this line I've been reading. When you have accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. When you have accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. Again, when you have accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son.
What a mission.
When you have accepted the atonement for yourself, you will realize there is no guilt in God's Son. I have another poem that Helen wrote to share. It's called His Certainty. His Certainty. I come in doubt. I do not yet believe your promises. My own uncertainty seems to be more apparent than my faith in what you have ordained your Son must be, and how your memory returns to him. My steps are hesitant, my trust is weak, my sense of purpose falters. I forget my goal because of images I seek and wander in illusions. Yet the end of wandering is certain in your mind. What you would have me seek, that will I find. What you would have me seek, God, that will I find. Sometimes these poems of Helen's are so touching because she shares so much her own doubts and lack of faith. But it always comes back to this deeper sense of certainty, the certainty of the healing, the certainty of the atonement. Then knowing that of these two things, the fears and the truth, one of them will fall away, and it's not the truth. It doesn't matter how long we've been wandering away from our purpose, it's still right there for us to choose. And we might even think, well, when can I choose it? Well, only right now. Can only be chosen right now. So just see how you've sort of been holding on to the fear, maybe defending the fear against this choice. And remember that the choice is still right now. Break your vow with the ego. You don't have to honor that. There's a deeper vow, a vow that cannot be broken. It's the promise to yourself. It's God's promise to you. You can never not be His completion. No matter how dark the shrouds of fear get, that light doesn't stop shining. So again, even this poem, the title of it, His Certainty, it doesn't tell us that we need to be certain. No, that's not where the certainty is. It is God's certainty, unwavering, unchanging, complete certainty. Why would we trust in anything less? And even if we seem to have tried to trust in something less, we don't need to keep doing it. These recent weeks have been the holiday season. In Spain, it's basically just continued. I think it just ended a couple days ago. Just keeps going and going. But there's like a sacred feeling, holy feeling of this certainty of God's love. There's even that phrase, the Holy of Holies, Holy of Holies.
The simple, beautiful truth that you're loved. So would you want to be so open to the Holy Spirit, just to open your heart and your being. Spirit can come in and shine into these areas. And in our last session, I shared about the passing of my father, and the experiences are so deep. I think I'm still in a sort of a process with this. I don't think I could even describe it. Even though something felt beautifully completed with him, with the morning dove flying in the light. So I feel open to open up the room here, and so you can share too, because I think it can be helpful to lift up if you're dealing with something or struggling with something, or just to share where you're at, so you can bring to the room what's there for you, to give over this story of who you are. Okay, Daniel and Mary.
I'm actually in Finland now, visiting Mari for a week. Yeah, it happened so that my son actually has started his new school yesterday. So it seems to be a important period for him and for the family, but also, yeah, the guidance was to come to Finland, so I took that step. Yeah, I brought up feelings of guilt and responsibility and like, yeah, leaving them in a way. But also what just came up to share is that it also feels really, really good to be here in the peace and quiet. But just now there was this guilt around feeling good being here or something, like, oh, I should be, because it started with this one thought of like, oh, tomorrow is Emmanuel's second day, so maybe tonight there's some intensity or whatever, and I'm not there. Okay, can accept that, but maybe now I have to, yeah, be with them in my mind or whatever. There was just this feeling of guilt, like it's not okay to just be here now. I have to do something, but it didn't feel good at all to even go there. So yeah, I just wanted to share that little experience I had just now, and maybe ask you to, yeah, to shine some light on it. Yeah.
Yeah, this message, this line that Barret was repeating, to see the Son of God is guiltless. How do you see the Son of God as guiltless? Who is the Son of God? To go to the core of this guilt and this hamster wheel, this pattern of keeping this rolling, keeping the roll rolling, the father roll. And now you were guided to step away, to release this wheel. And even when you step away, you're tempted to check in, answer messages. But why? So that's beautiful that you're looking at that, because why? Why do you feel an impulse to answer a message or write a message? Why? So that question that you're asking, what is it for? Yeah, very helpful. And when should you check in? All the time, all the time. Check in with the Holy Spirit. I feel in the joining with Maria, I'm sure that's a very powerful way of checking in, of feeling it together. So that's beautiful. Who is the Son of God, Jesus says the Son of God is you. The essence of who you are is the Son of God. You are the Son of God. So that's the guilty one you're forgiving as you go through this. In the form of putting the temptation on the altar, putting the family members on the altar, giving them to the light, to say, well, I don't know how to be with them. I don't know what is right. I'm giving them over, giving over the role, the temptation to be the hero, in this case, the father, and to keep it going, it is so constructed, superficial. So when you remove all that, what do you have left? It's nice to do that. It's how to genuinely interact and relate. If spirit is wanting you to go in that direction, when you peel off everything, yeah, where does spirit want you to go? Which direction does your heart lead you? beautiful practice. Thank you for sharing, for taking steps, heading to Finland. I thought of you today. I had the thought, I wonder how things are going. So it's nice to hear.
Yeah, it's interesting because just before these couple of days started, where I went really deep and was just feeling like staying afloat. And then before that, we were actually guided to spend 4 days with just the family. We went to the beach and we spent New Year's there together. And it was such a miraculous time. Like we keep getting all these beautiful symbols, and yeah, and I joined in a different way. But also, I don't know, something happened there. I cannot even put my finger on it precisely. But the day we came back, things started, yeah, it just started coming up. So I cannot even explain it, but it's like, yeah, it put something in motion. That time together we had, it put something in motion, and then I had to, yeah, go through it, and then, yeah, have this wonderful time. I said to Mari when I came here, I said I came here to rehabilitate. I need some time, and it's so quiet here and peaceful, and yeah, so I'm really grateful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, just breaking a pattern can bring up so much.
Thank you. Help you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, Jenny. Hi, Maria. I mean, hi, Jenny. Hi, Barret. Sorry. My mind's kind of racing a little bit. It's really good to be with you guys again. Thankful for you. There's been so much darkness that's been making itself aware in my mind. It's hard to even know where to start, but there's been a lot of healing in that as well. And I've just been praying whenever things come up to just spirit take this from me. And then there's just been these big yawns that are happening whenever I'm offering it up to spirit. It's just like these healing yawns that are coming. So I'm just trying to trust that's just part of the healing process that's going on right now, and just praying. And I feel like things are clearing out and things are opening. So if you see me yawning during the session, it's not because I'm bored or falling asleep, but it's just been this so much that's coming through. But one thing I would just want to step forward and bring to the light is this belief in punishment, and just this self-critical voice that's making itself known, that's just ruthless, that it's like no matter what I do, if I was to not share in the session, this voice would punish me for it. And I already know that no matter what I share in this session, this voice is just waiting for me to try to punish me and rip me apart and just push me back in the darkness and keep me separate from others. And how there's just this huge belief in attack and punishment and condemnation, and how the ego just uses all of these tricks to try to keep me separate, and that it's so painful that it just makes me, that when it comes to connecting with others and interacting with them, that there's so much pain and this feeling of having to people please, and the desire, this feeling like I have to perform for others, and that I can't be myself or speak my truth or be natural. And this feeling that I can like feel what people want from me and what they expect me to be for them, and that I'm gonna hurt them if I'm not that. And it's so draining and just painful. And the way the ego will spin things in my head of like, either I'm being hurt by someone and that they're victimizing me or doing something to me, or that they're actually pure and that I'm gonna attack them and hurt them, and just all the vanity and arrogance that's in that, and just kind of how this voice works in my head to keep me in the belief of punishment and isolation and separation, and just separating myself and staying in the darkness because that's more comfortable than being forth and stepping forward into the light. And I just feel like I have to bring that to the light and expose that and take a step to go beyond that and offer it up and just put that in the light. And I know that it's gonna hurt one way or another, but like you said, Jenny, you said something about you have to have the attitude of, I'm here to heal, and whatever I have to go through in order to heal, bring it on. And that's just kind of the attitude I'm trying to have the courage to face and embody, of like, I want to heal and I want to move beyond this and all this darkness that comes up. I'm just trying to tell myself that as these things come up, they're coming up not to be reinforced, but to release, because the ego will try to say when it's coming up, see, you're failing and you're just reinforcing this. But trying to have the attitude that as things come up, they're coming up to be released, not to be reinforced, and to have enough trust and to feel worthy enough of healing and love and all of these things. It's like, I don't feel like I'm afraid of God's love, but whenever it comes at me in the form of people, then it's like, oh, I can feel myself wanting to run away, wanting to hide, and wanting to all of these reactions come up. And I can see how it's like, yeah, I know that A Course in Miracles is a path of relationships, and it's like, it's hard for me to even be in relationships, and because of that, I choose bad relationships because of this. Yeah, it's just shame and guilt and beliefs and unworthiness, and these fears of attack, fear of hurting others, and fear of being hurt by others. And it's just like, just want to try to offer that to the light. And thank you guys. And I want to say much love to you too, Jenny. I hope that the passing of your father's physical form that process has been going on. Oh, all right for you. That's enough for now. Thanks, you guys.
I just want to reach out my hands. I just want to hold your hands. Just want to hold your hands. Thank you for sharing and just putting it out there. All these feelings, I mean, it's bound to come up, as you start to see your mind. It's beautiful. And I mean, it's not feeling beautiful, but it is beautiful that it is up, because it's been buried.
Yeah.
Now it's up. And I love, this idea that you are the prayer. You're really like, this is your prayer. Like, get me out of this harsh judgments of the ego and self-criticism, criticism of others, choosing false relationships to hide or, to avoid the real. But yeah, it feels so good as you're seeing it, because this is first step. And I love your name. I was just thinking, daring. It sounds like, yeah, you're daring to this. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
And I could see you in Spain.
Yeah.
You come over for
Definitely thinking about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a possibility for sure. That would be great. You guys live in Spain, right? Or do you live in South Africa?
Our center is in Spain.
Oh, okay. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everyone.
And regarding my father and the passing, I haven't really been close to him physically for many, many years. I left Sweden in 2006 and I met him a few times, and then the last 9 years he's been very, very ill, very sick from cancer and very just not himself. But I have gone so far away from the role of being a daughter, and so his passing felt very deep, but it didn't feel like a loss of somebody. It felt very, very right, and just giving him over fully to God and feeling the healed relationship. It's been such a journey with him, with my parents, in my mind and my life. And I can just share briefly with you all that the first part of my life, there was such a grip, the parents over me, like their role, their importance in my life, their kind of mental power, like feeling like they owned me and I had to show up there for their whatever dinners, meetings. This was a long time ago, but I felt very subdued in a way by those relationships. And when I felt called by God to move on from Sweden, move on from, it's starting to move on from this world, then they show up as their higher selves, in their higher selves, as the Christ. And that was so important, that it was them, and having nothing to do with the earthly image of them, and just giving me full permission, or even blessing me and thanking me for taking my steps. And then through the years, still having healing with the earthly parents and the past grip over my mind, and all the littleness I felt, and all the stuff from a human life. And then feeling how more and more this grip has loosened. They haven't had that power anymore through me taking my steps and allowing myself to not listen to these critical voices that they represented. Yeah, so it's been just, I haven't felt any sorrow over his passing, actually more joy. I've felt him a lot the last few years, just strong connection and a lot of healing of past stuff, but just God showing me him in the truth several times, and this deep joining in the truth. So yeah, so it's feeling very light, and I feel him. He's very happy in the spirit. It's very, yeah.
Beautiful.
But it is so deep. How we are affected by our parents, our upbringing, so deep.
Yeah. I had somewhat of a similar thing happen with me whenever my father passed a few years ago, and we didn't have a very good relationship, a pretty sad relationship through the eyes of the person and everything like that, and a lot of issues. But it was like whenever he passed, it was like all of his ego stuff just dropped, and I was able to like feel him, and I've been feeling him in spirit and in love come through after his passing. I feel more of a love and a like a deeper connection to him, and kind of seeing him in the light as well too. So it's been kind of a blessing in a way.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. We learn to take it so lightly with the characters and the roles we play. Like,
Yeah.
this, my father, so I'm an ordained minister, and I felt guided to offer to hold the ceremony for funeral, and my family are not on my path, and they
Uh-huh.
immediately said, no, we're gonna have my sister's husband, who is a real Swedish pastor or minister in the denomination they are in. And so they didn't even consider it. I felt very guided to offer it. And I felt actually my father's approval, or my father's wish. He kind of, he wanted, but then to take it so lightly that, I feel like he's joining me also in how we look at the family members. Like, okay, they are not ready for that, or they don't want that. So
Mhm.
just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the forgiveness. Forgiveness sees everything very lightly. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, we feel you.
For you guys too. Love you.
Love you.
Love you, Darren.
If anyone else has their hand up, you can please wave again. In case we missed it.
Hi, and thank you for this wonderful hosting again. I'm always amazed at the receptivity that I feel. I just feel everyone's heart listening and holding up every concern and every problem that we bring up. I don't want to take up too much time because my issue isn't really like it is and it isn't. It's not pressing. It's immediate, but it's not torturing me yet. It's it's that it's this long-term thing that I'm approaching 70 and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to position my purpose, I think. And there was something that happened when I was 40, I think 42, 43. That year, the last of my 6 children was born, and our family was in a crisis. And up until that time, I had been a very, very surrendered person, surrendered to the will of God, trusting, really taking generous risks with life, including having 6 children. And it was all really in the spirit of Course in Miracles, uh, just so much trust and happiness and freedom. And but then that year, something scared me so much. I thought, oh my gosh, it was a false fear, but it was the fear that we couldn't manage with the 6 children. It was too much, and they would be taken away from us. Of course, that never happened. It didn't even come close to happening, but it was my fear at the time. And what I did in my fear was say, God, I I have to quit. I have to quit you. I'm going to take things back into my own hands. I had surrendered my life to God maybe at the age of 26. So at 42, I said, I'm taking it back. The life that I have now is so scary. If I can't take care of my 6 children and you're not helping me, I'm going to take control back and I will do what I need to do to make sure they're okay. So in other words, I had a big crisis of faith and I lost my trust, maybe in myself and in God. And things went well after that. I mean, the kids are fine. They're all grown up now and they're fine. But I never was able to surrender like that again. The surrender in the way that I was surrendered for so many years and lived without guilt, really without guilt, because yeah, that kind of surrender was wonderful. But then when it became too scary, I stopped it. And now, how many years later, I still find it difficult. I want to surrender. I want to, give my will up to the bigger thing. And something in me holds on tight with fear. And there's no real danger in my life. There's no threat. So this holding on tight versus letting go is my question. It's like, how can I find a way to surrender and I don't know how to manage the tension, sort of surrendering, letting go. It feels dangerous. It feels stressful. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but that's what I'm bringing to the table right now. How do I manage my life? Who manages it? Me, God, and what's the difference?
Well, yeah, anytime you feel control, tightness, of course, it's the little me.
Yeah.
So you said it feels stressful even to try to surrender, but I think it's the holding on that is stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why I can't let go if I lived for 20 years in the hardest part of life with 6 young children when I could do it then, and now I have very little to lose. I have nothing to lose, and I can't do it. That's so weird.
Well, this world is overlearned, and maybe that decision to take back control kind of overlearn, you have strengthened it for years. You have
Mm,
that control, and now it's like, now you wanna let go, and this line comes to mind: freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. To allow, you have nothing to lose,
I know.
and over everything to God, all the children, all the relationships, all the stuff, your life, your time, your
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. Why? It's like the hardest thing to let go of the last bit of ego. Like it's when there's really very little to lose. Like I'd be so happy if I died tomorrow. I really would, because it would be like, oh, finally, no more tension, maybe.
I felt in the messages you shared with us and in your calling, you have this desire to surrender the mind that thinks, the mind that is, intellectual or mental, or trying
Yeah,
to manage or thinking yourself through.
yeah.
I would say you have such strong desire to come back to being
Mhm.
and to trust. I mean, the only time you can do it and practice it is in the present moment,
Yeah, yeah.
allowing that.
Yeah. And that's why it feels so good to be with you in the group where the minute the session opens, my heart just does it. It just does what it wants. And what it wants is that surrender and the peace. And of course it's safe because you're behind a screen and I could just shut my laptop if it gets too hard, which of course I won't. So it's safe, you know. It's what I want though. It feels so good to surrender. Yeah. I I think you're right. It's not answerable by the head. It's a question I ask, but the answer isn't from here. It's just, as you say, in the moment, find it in the moment, the surrender again and again, every moment, and keep doing it. And then, I think I'm answering my own question. Just
Yeah.
now, again. Yeah.
And then really trust where it leads you.
I don't have to know, do I?
No.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful.
As you're sharing today, I got this image of like all these thoughts are like kind of like layers, and they're sticky and they're heavy and they're hard, and what I felt was like grab onto like the firecracker, and the firecracker is the thing that you love, the thing that lights you up,
Uh-huh.
and let the fireworks, let the light and the joy that it wants to spill forward clear the fog and the confusion and the stress and the tension. Because when you're in that joy, all of that just,
Yeah,
it's gonna dissolve,
Mm.
you know.
right. When I'm in my peaceful mind, there's no problem to solve. It's just all fine. And when I'm not in my peaceful place, my head looks for problems to solve that aren't really there and wants answers that don't need to be answered. I have to remember that.
But remember that if you want to light a firework, you need the spark. Just a little spark is all it takes, and that'll light the whole thing up.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Danute.
Mm. Maybe we end the session with today's lesson.
Beautiful.
Lesson number 8. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. This idea is, of course, the reason why you see only the past. No one really sees anything. He sees only his thoughts projected outward. The mind's preoccupation with the past is the cause of the misconception about time from which your seeing suffers. Thank God we don't have to buy into the way we have seen time, the way we have experienced time, past, present, and future. Morning, day, night, next day. That's the ego's something that is not happening. This is very good. Your mind cannot grasp the present, which is the only time there is. It therefore cannot understand time and cannot, in fact, understand anything. Well, this is why we have a chapter in the course called Practicing the Holy Instant. What a beautiful invitation. The only holy true thought one can hold about the past is that it is not here. To think about it at all is therefore to think about illusions. Very few have realized what is actually entailed in picturing the past or in anticipating the future. The mind is actually blank when it does this, because it is not really thinking about anything. It's hallucinating. It's like not being here. The purpose of the exercises for today is to begin to train your mind to recognize when it is not really thinking at all. While thoughtless ideas preoccupy your mind, the truth is blocked. Now, this is so powerful. You don't want to have a blank mind. We think about the future or the past. The mind is blank. It's gone, lost. It's really training us to really think, to really come to the thought, the real thought, which is full of power and peace. So thank you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And have a good night, everyone, or day, wherever you are.
Lots of love.
Yeah.